Aloha, I'm Papakilo Database. I am the Executive Director of Awaiaulu, and we have a long history of both development with and reliance upon Papakilo.
So we at Awaiaulu just wanted to take a moment to state our strong support and our mahalo to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs for making this resource available to the whole community. And our hope that it's you recognize the valuable resource that you've created for yourselves and for all of Hawaii. And we strongly encourage that support into the future. So mahalo.
Papakilo Database. Pene kona hi'o ona. Wa ike mua oko ya Papakilo. Hiki ke imi aku ma na wahi pana, palapala aina. Hiki ke imi aku noi I aku, imi noi I ma ka mo'oku au hau. Ma kela mau palapala o ka mahele. A me kanu pepa no hoi.
Papakilo serves as a great access point for outer island teachers such as myself. It's such a valuable resource that I can go to find things that make our content, our problems, and our focus on a school level very relevant as far as Hawaiian language and Hawaiian history goes, which is really a big push that the Department of Education and the Office of Hawaiian Education is doing in schools through this Naho Pena'o initiative. Right, we're trying to incorporate a lot more sense of Hawaii in our teaching so that we can create that sense of belonging and love for culture that we all want our students to go away with, to leave Hawaii with. Papakilo serves as a great source to foster that kind of learning that we're striving to provide for our students.
I think one of the greatest things about Papakilo is that in today's generation, we are vastly lacking in the kupuna that we had just one generation ago, and in their depth of knowledge. And so with the resurgence of Hawaiian language and interest in Hawaiian language and Hawaiian things, Hawaiian knowledge, I think Papakilo offers a chance at having a kupuna again. It's access to a kupuna for all of the people that don't have those kupuna or who missed their chance at the access to those Hawaiian speaking kupuna and those kupuna that had so much Hawaiian knowledge. So much research that eventually becomes books or movies or films or documentaries or art or mele or music. A lot of those projects, a lot of that creativity starts at Papakilo. I think it's inspired by Papakilo. I think Papakilo is where creativity and research and ike and knowledge and projects to bring that ike and knowledge forward, they start at Papakilo.
And as a student of Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian history, Hawaiian language, now a teacher of Hawaiian language and a translator at Awaiaulu, Papakilo has become an integral part of my daily life. And the access that Papakilo provides to all of these various databases is unparalleled and extremely valuable for potential research and scholarship.
It has really been a valuable tool in helping us debunk norms. You know, we would assume that, oh, this is an improper way of spelling or saying this one word. But with a simple search on Papakilo, within a matter of seconds, you can have thousands of examples of that one word.
The searchability function in the newspapers is huge that wasn't available to us before. And so I highly support and encourage the continued financial support for Papakilo for it to expand its resources.
Today, as an educator of Hawaiian language for students at the high school level, the students are beneficiaries of the knowledge not only that I have gained, but it also serves as a primary resource for their learning, research, and study of Hawaiian language.
You know, there isn't a single day that goes by that Awaiaulu doesn't use Papakilo Database. And I definitely can't imagine a future where it has no place or has no value. I think for that to happen is to say that we know all there is to know about our past and we have no further need of it.
As a cultural specialist with the Kamehameha Schools, as a Kumuhula graduate of Halaumohala Ilima, and as a translator with Awaiaulu, I access Papakilo Database and explore the Hawaiian language newspapers every day of my life. It is there that I go to tap into the voices of our people, to the history as told by those who lived it. And I believe that Papakilo, as an online access point for Po'e Hawaii, is such an invaluable resource. I fully support its continued growth and expansion so that more of us can have access to those things of the past, and so that we can carry them forward into the future.
To the Board of Directors of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs for the work of Papakilo. It's something we have helped to build the resource. In 2009, from the beginning of Papakilo, Awaiaulu has had a hand in helping to build the resource. But today, so many are reliant on this resource for their own scholarship, for research, for genealogy, for teachers in schools. We can't even name the amount of people and different organizations that rely on the resource. That is Papakilo.
In the past 3.5 years, working with Awaiaulu, Papakilo Database has been the single largest source of raw materials that we've been able to collect pieces of these unknown stories or vaguely understood stories. And because of Papakilo Database, we've been able to put a magnifying glass to these different pieces and clarify the larger picture, the larger context, and the smaller details, the minute intricacies, to create a better picture of our history, of our culture, of our mo'olelo as Hawaiians.
When I consider the contribution that Papakilo has made to my classroom, that is difficult to quantify. Classrooms in which I am a student and classrooms in which I am the teacher. Being able to use Papakilo ensures that I am keeping Ike or Ike kupuna consistently relevant in my classrooms. I'm able to use the technological tool of Papakilo to access narratives of the past and constantly bring them into my classroom to make sure that they're current, they're relevant, and that we have an understanding of our history. To me, Papakilo is essential in collapsing those gaps. The gaps that are there because of the way history has rolled out for us.
You know, every single day we make tremendous leaps. We advance in information gain. And that's because Papakilo transcends physical boundaries. People from different islands can access all the same information, and it connects us in that way. You know, it knocks down walls that would otherwise keep us out. And so I can't stress it enough how important Papakilo is to me, my ohana, and our lahui.
When I consider OHA's role in that, I think immediately about the strategic priority of Ho'ona'auau, about OHA's commitment to continually provide resources for Hawaiian students, not just in public education, but in our community, like broader community. And when I think about Papakilo, I think that that is one of the key resources of education.
I reflected the other day, I got a reference call. I had a question that had come up. It was a research and language question. And within about 5 minutes, I called them back with a number of pieces that totally answered the query. Then I sat back and reflected on, I could have answered this years ago. I've been doing research for 40 years. But this same answer that I just provided would have taken me a month. And I was able to touch and pull in and verify resources within 5 minutes that did almost the same amount without leaving my house, without having to make scheduled visits to libraries and archives. I was able to touch into resources that simply would have been almost beyond reach of anyone but a professional researcher, really 10 or 15 years ago. So that, I think, illuminates the power of what Papakilo has provided.
The reasons why I believe that Papakilo should not be defunded strictly is because Papakilo is the lifeblood, is the lifeline of Hawaiian history for contemporary researchers like myself. I am a doctoral student in the political science department at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and without the Papakilo database, my master's research nor my doctoral research would not be possible without the fundamental aspects of the Papakilo and the resources, the primary resources that Papakilo database provides.
I'd like to start by saying mahalo nui for the support that you folks have given to Papakilo thus far. And I'd like to please urge you to grow the resource rather than spending less on it. I'd actually love to see more go into it because it is the single most important resource for all the work that I do.
As the former Hawaiian Resource Specialist at Pukukui Watershed Preserve of Mauna Kahala, Hawaii, Papakilo has been a very important resource for myself and the organization as a whole, and really the community on the west side of Maui, to really get the voices of the kupuna that used to be in the area.
I use Papakilo every single day in both my work at Awaiaulu and in my work at Kalapiko. As you know, Awaiaulu is working really hard to generate translations and access and resources and materials that center the ike of our kupuna, which is contained in the newspaper archive that is best accessed via Papakilo.
Papakilo is that gateway for us to get into the minds of the kupuna from before us. And without that, I'm scared that we won't have a great foundation to stand on.
To think of not having Papakilo is a really scary and confusing thought, just because of how accessible things have become through Papakilo and through the searches and through the keyword finds. And so as someone who plays in Hawaiian language newspapers and in Olelo Hawaii pretty frequently, Papakilo is something that I feel like I would be lost without. And so I'm very glad and very fortunate and appreciative to have access to Papakilo, and I'm hopeful that that access continues, and that access only I guess becomes more and more. So, oia ihola, mahalo.